Hey, everybody, how's it going? Hey guys, I'm your pal here, Victor Moreno from Cult Classics, and are you guys excited to be here at Cult Classics this month? Alright guys, we're going to get this going in a minute. Just want to tell you a little bit, because you guys, back during the pandemic, we got to see this movie from a film festival screener, from a film festival in Canada called Fantasia. And we saw this movie and we were just like, wow, this movie is really something. It just reminded me of a lot of movies we really like. Just have this like really cool nostalgia vibe, like punk rock, romance, like Heathers, SLC Punk, Ghost World, stuff like that. And we're just like, man, I wish we could see this in a movie theater with people who were like-minded and wanted to see this cool punk rock romance. Am I right? So time went on, and because of the pandemic or whatnot, we're like, man, one day we'll play it at Cult Classics. It's got that vibe. It's got that punk rock teddy bear. Give it up for Tommy.
It's so fluffy!
And you guys, a few months ago, this movie came out called Snack Shack. Have you guys heard of Snack Shack?
Yeah!
And we were so into this movie. It just reminded me of growing up in the 90s. Yeah, I'm an old guy, you know it. But it had this cool nostalgia vibe. I'm like, dude, it's by the same guy who did Dinner in America. Wouldn't it be awesome we could see that in a movie theater? Then one day it showed up on Hulu. And then it started to show up on TikTok. And then all the time people were just like, dude, have you heard of this movie called Dinner in America? You guys, this movie, Dinner in America. And one day Kyle Gallner got on Instagram. And he was like, guys, you want to see this in theaters? Tell your friends, tell your movie people, nag them. And I was like, you don't need to nag me, sign me up. And a few months went by, we worked on it, and you guys, we did it. And you are here to watch Dinner in America at Cult Classics. Our first screening was that just started in the other auditorium, was our fastest sellout in Cult Classics history. Sold out in less than a day. And people were like, please add a second screening. Please add a second screening. Guys, please add a second screening. And that was like 5 weeks ago. And we tried for 4 or 5 weeks. Like, God damn it, can we make this happen? And finally, like, you can have a second screening. I'm like, I'm gonna do it. And you guys sold it out in just over 2 days. And I know you guys are hungry to see it, and we tried to get Kyle here. Kyle's got a lot going on, unfortunately, so he wasn't able to come. And Emily was going to come, but then she got sick. But she sent us a message that we're going to put on social media for all you guys. She's being sniffly right now. But we're super excited because we got the writer and director of Dinner in America here, you guys. Adam Carter Rehmeier. Let's give him a hand. And we're going to talk a little bit about the genesis of this movie, and we're going to get some questions from you guys. Are you excited? Do you guys have questions? You have questions? All right, so we're going to talk a little bit, and we're going to ask you some stuff, and you can win Chompy after this, so I know you're excited, so let's just get started. Here's Adam. 2 guys in hoodies right here. All right, so people are really excited here. How many of you guys have seen this movie already, by the way? All right. Who hasn't seen this movie? All right. You're going to have an awesome time. So I think we're going to talk a little bit here. This movie, Adam's been working on some awesome stuff since then, Snack Shack, which we talked about. And you guys, I want to ask Adam, how does it feel to revisit this when your career is going, when this movie really didn't get a chance to breathe? Can you tell us a little bit about the process of this movie getting to where it is now and how it affected you?
Well, first and foremost, thank you everybody for coming out tonight. I really appreciate that. And wouldn't really be doing any of this without you, because it was really the TikTok phenomena of it all that just catapulted this thing and made it something that, people are talking about again. So very appreciative, like not just me, but Emily and Kyle and the producers and everyone that we can engage like this and do this for this movie, because it's a really special one for all of us. And that was the hardest thing. This movie, you know, the timing of everything, we were just talking about it. So this has been this has been about 10 years since the script was written. We filmed the movie 6 years ago. That's insane.
Yeah.
6 years ago. So maybe even bordering on 7 at this point. But yeah, so to have something that was in your head, you know, even before that, and to now have a 10-year kind of journey with it, and to be here doing what we always wanted to do, which was theatrical, and just, you know, I don't want theatrical to die. I really don't. The best experience with a movie, especially with something that has comedy, is being with everyone and experiencing it this way in a theater. So for me, like, being able to do this, to be here, is the most special part of it. So I'm very grateful for everyone coming out to do this. But yeah, so what was the question again?
So the question was, how does it feel seeing the resurgence of this movie where you are now?
Oh, well, I think I answered that. It feels fucking amazing. You know? That part's amazing. But yeah, it was, you know, the fact that we premiered at Sundance 2020 and then the world went and took a shit, literally shit the bed.
Yeah.
We didn't get our day in theaters doing this. So, you know, we had kind of a lackluster rollout in 2022, and the movie died quietly in the night. And then, you know, while we were working this summer, I did another movie with Kyle this summer called Caroline with Kyle and Samara Weaving. And we will be, you know, premiering that at some point in 2025. I'm very excited about that. But we were all working, and we realized that, you know, this was trending on TikTok, and we were like, what the fuck? You know, and we watched it go from, you know, a couple hundred videos to hundreds of thousands of videos, and it's mind-blowing. The song has now been streamed in the last couple months 34 million times. So just on Spotify alone. So it's crazy. We can't believe it, and it's now that we have dozens and dozens and dozens of screenings coming up. It's amazing to be on the road with this movie and to tour around with it. It's a lot of fun. So.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that's really interesting is you're saying this movie, yeah, guys, it's like 7 years since it was made. And it kind of feels like really current, especially the way it seems to be reaching a lot of like different fan bases. Like we were talking, like there's like the punk kids, and then like the goth kids, the heavy metal, the Heshers, and then it's like, it's found this really unique audience through like the character of Patty and the way people respond to her, you know, whether it's just putting like how they feel as a misfit, or like, is she like labeled as sort of like on the spectrum or something? And how do you feel about the way people respond to Patty and Emily's portrayal of her? You can tell us a little bit about how she got cast in the film.
Well, I think it's also important to say that, you know, when Hollywood's very scared of authenticity, like
Yeah.
Emily that she put into this film, and so I think that a lot of the distribution people, they were afraid that this would be offensive in some way, and that's the reaction's been the exact opposite.
Yeah.
And so that's been a pretty hard, you know, it's a hard thing to deal with, because we knew the whole time our audience. This is a movie for misfits made by misfits, so we knew the whole time. Like, so we knew what we were doing, and we knew that the audience would, the film would find its audience, and you know, the sort of like beige world of distribution was convinced that you wouldn't like the movie, you know?
Yeah.
And then so that's a hard pill to swallow. You're just like, no, we're positive, because you know, like the premiere of the film, you know, people were going crazy, and it was immediate, the connection with Patty. So you know, I think that films need to have more honesty and realism, and you know, it's hard to do it because the people that control distribution arms and stuff don't want you to have it. So
Yeah.
I think it's been a little bit of a wake up because we're proving them wrong, you know, with this particular film. So I just like, everybody said no to us, and everyone here says yes. So.
Right? And I think, how many of you guys have really loved this movie? I've seen it multiple times. All right, we see that. And I think one of the things that really connects people through this is like the through line of Simon and Patty's relationship. And a lot of that is due to the chemistry between our two actors, Kyle and Emily. And can you tell us like a little story about how like Kyle and Emily sort of came together and how they really started to bond when this happened?
Yeah, I mean, by the way, like, I work with the same crew. It's like a family. So it's a really beautiful family that there's so much love going on. We all love each other and like genuinely respect each other. So I like want to stress that the work environment's really a safe space, and it's really conducive to pushing each other and going for it, which is great. We put Kyle and Emily on the same flight from LA, like sitting next to each other. They didn't know that, which was really cute. I picked them up and we went out for patty melts. And yeah, we did get some patty melts.
That's awesome.
We bonded right away. Emily and Kyle did their own things. Their thing was cooking with each other a lot. They would cook a lot together. I have a funny story of when we first we kind of went like midtown-y Detroit. We didn't really fit in. It was kind of like very business type of people. It was very business casual, and Emily and Kyle and I went out to eat at this rooftop restaurant. We got a bunch of chicken wings. And we were eating the wings. I remember, look, I can eat chicken wings really well. Like I can get the meat off the bone really well, you know?
Yeah.
Like, no stranger to the Clean Plate Club here. But it wasn't good enough for Kyle.
Oh.
At all. Like he was like offended by whatever cartilage I was leaving behind. And he kept reaching over and like biting off the tips of my chicken wings and ripping off the cartilage, and like, I'm like, are you gonna get the marrow out too? You know, it's like I wasn't doing it up to stuff. I was like, guys, are you emasculating me in front of Emily? Like, what's happening here? Is he just Simon? Is he just already Simon? Like on day 3? So it was just really, you know, bonding with them and just getting to be around each other. You know, one of the first things we did was record the music, which was so important. It's very important in the film because you get all the way to the end of the movie and this guy's a poser, like, fuck, then it really sucks, you know? And same with the song that they record. If it's not a banger, then, well, shit, this is just kind of, you know, marginal. So that was, you know, what we did right away. And we did all of Kyle's punk stuff like day 1 of rehearsal, and we did Emily and I recorded Watermelon on day number 2. We wrote it and did like a little acoustic demo of it and sat on it overnight, and then we recorded the whole song the next day. So like, so important to our process was having the most emotional part of the movie that we knew where this thing was going. And it was like, it was just like pulling back the bow and letting it like, you know, we've like reverse engineered it up into that point. So, you know, on day 2 of rehearsals, we already know emotionally what that's going to be, which, you know, honestly, it could have been a thing where we got distracted with just production stuff and had to postpone writing the song until week 3 or 4 of the production on a weekend or something, and I just don't think it would have been the same. And so by doing that, we had a really clear path forward of where we were going with this thing. So it was, you know, and that's by planning, that's by luck, that's by a lot of things, but that's, you know, that's how it happened for us. And it was a really special thing because once we got the music out of the way, it's like kind of winning a little small war, and you've been through battle together already. So, you know, it was just it's like making friends instantly, you know?
Yeah. Well, I think that's a good segue to open it up to some questions. If we have any questions here, all right, you got that right up. Let me know what you want to ask.
Oh God, this is hard. I have so much I want to say. This is my absolute favorite movie.
All right.
I guess my first question would, well, I feel like this, you know, you talked about music and how it's right at the core of it, but I know Disco Salt,
Yeah.
they did a lot of music for PsyOps, or all of it. But
all
were
of
there any specific, like, musical influences in the development, or how Kyle and Emily played their characters?
The question is, specific musical influences on Kyle and Emily. I think this touches on something we were talking about how you guys came up with the music earlier on. So why don't you?
Well, I know for a fact, like, because Kyle was like, you know, little skater boy, liked to go to hardcore shows when he was younger. So I know for a fact that this was like fantasy stuff for him, that like wish fulfillment. So he was like excited. He was like really excited to be able to do this and, you know, get thrown into it. Like, he's not a musician, but, you know, we helped with like those aspects of it. Like I spent a little time with him each day, not each day, but like he did another movie called Losers Take All, and he had to play guitar in that movie. So he kind of mock do it, but I wanted him to actually like make it feel like he was doing it and banging it out. So we just spent a little time like in the back of my car, like on the sitting up with the hatch up or whatever, just sitting there like playing like when we had moments, and showing him like what it would be like, because I'm a home recorder and I do all of that kind of like 4-tracking and stuff like that, and so we did that, and the drums and bass, and he did it just fine. Emily obviously had experience with Broadway and like Fun Home. She was in a play called Fun Home, and so her voice is really amazing. She could do all sorts of things with her voice if she wanted to. But I was, you know, early on when we were talking about it, it was more like, how can you make your voice smaller and like a bird, kind of like, that was it, like a songbird singing. So that was what we talked about a lot, was like songbirds.
I think that vibe comes across. All right, any more questions? All right, you right here with the pumpkin bag.
This is, if you don't mind sharing, this is like a character script kind of question.
Sure, go ahead.
There's a character in the beginning of the movie that Simon meets at the bus stop,
Yeah.
right when he gets out. And this is just like an argument between my friends, as if she intentionally did that and knew that it was
Leah
Simon.
Thompson's daughter.
Oh, so if she intentionally was waiting there, like because the bus didn't run?
Yeah, she knew that.
The way it's scripted and the way we played it was no, but I like your take on it. Like she's waiting for the little hot boy to get out.
Yeah.
Too. Okay, I get it. I like that. We'll just say it as that for tonight. But it was actually interpreted the other way, that she didn't know that the thing ran, but Simon did. It's funny that you mentioned that scene, because that was on. I finally broke the curse with this last film of like the 6-day curse. I usually have a great week, and then the 6th day is a fucking absolute nightmare for me. I don't know why it is. It just fucking happens every time. But on this 6th day, it was a shit show. And when they're walking, when they're doing the little walk and talk thing, there's actually like 3 pages of dialogue. There's stuff about Simon lies about his family. There's other things that happen in there that aren't in the script. And the reason the sun dipped behind the trees, and we no longer had this sort of dramatic backlight, and it looked very flat and shitty. And the take that's in there is the rehearsal take. I shot the rehearsal because I was like, the light was fleeting and I wanted to look at it, and we did the rehearsal take, and to everywhere where Simon throws his cigarette, that's just the rehearsal take, and it worked. It was enough of it. But it was not the full 3. There is a rehearsal take, and it has the full 3 minutes. But it was like a dolly shot, and it was like a little bumpy, and it didn't quite work. And so that's what existed out of that scene. That used to be, you know, probably a 2.5 minute scene. It's just a little excerpt. Also, when you're making a film, make an independent film, I can almost bet like most indie films, the first act is always a problem. It's too long. Usually, it needs to get cut down. My first act on this movie was like, there's like a whole other day with Simon, like that's not in the movie. I've like put a few clips up on TikTok and places where you can see some of the other scene work, but it's really, there's like a short film and just Kyle, like, I mean, shit, there's a whole dance sequence to the Boney M song, Daddy Cool. Like it's a coked out dance sequence on a, I'm not even shitting you, it's on a, you know, like those floors, the dance floors, like from Saturday Night Fever, the light up grid square thing. It's on that with, we had a snorri cam, which is like it's like a camera rig that you wear, like Aronofsky used in,
when it's running.
yes, exactly. And what am I thinking of?
It's in Get Him to the
Requiem
Greek
when
when Jonah Hill's on the Jeffrey.
Yeah. So anyway, they were like spinning, and it was this elaborate thing. We had to get this rig. We ordered this rig, and it came from the truck that had it in Kentucky was involved in an accident with a fatality.
Oh,
wow. And the state police seized the FedEx truck, and they were like, you're not getting that piece of equipment off the truck. There's been a fatality, and this is now seized. So we had to get another snorri cam from New York, and like one of the producers flew, got it, brought it, dropped it off to a PA, brought it to the set the second like we were actually in need of it. We did this elaborate dance sequence, and like none of the shit is in the movie.
Wow.
Like, none of it. So
Director's cut.
director's cut. You know what? You're watching the director's cut. I had final cut in this movie, and this is my director's cut. And I edited the movie.
I'll ask this really quick, if it's a quick answer. I think a lot of people actually mentioned this to me. It's like, Leah Thompson in this movie, random cameo, what's the story?
Looking for, Leah's name came into the mix, and I got, somebody connect, like, I think she read the script, and she really liked it, and she called, we were like scouting the place where they play the show at the end in that scrapyard.
Yeah.
And there's like giant fucking dogs running around me and shit, and I'm like trying to talk to her on the phone, and she's like, I don't want to be the hag. I don't want to be a hag. And I'm like, but he picks you. He picks you over the daughter,
Yeah.
So you're not. He goes for you. And she's like, I'll do it. But Leah's the director, and she's doing all sorts of things too. Like, she was really fun to have her around, and she's kind of like a first crush, kind of thing, like a Back to the Future thing. So it was cool. Somebody pointed out too, it's like, well, she's kind of doing the same thing at the table as she's doing the Back to the Future. I'm like, shit. All right. Good.
Do we have time for one more question, or how are we on time?
It's 10:29.
All right. Well, you guys, if you have questions for Adam, he'll be at the table after the show. If you have things to sign, he'll sign them. You can ask him questions there. Are you guys excited for Dinner in America? All right, give him a hand. You can win a ticket for Chompy. Proceeds go to charity, and Jasper will tell you the story on what's expecting Cult Classics.
What's up, everybody? How you feeling? Man, I love Q&As. I love doing it. It's really cool to be part of it now. Welcome to Cult Classics. Who's here for the first time? Wow, a lot of you guys. That's awesome. We want to become your new monthly obsession. We do this one Saturday a month here at Landmark. We are moviegoers just like you. We love movies. That's what we do. We want to show movies that we love. We want to show movies that you love. We want to show movies that maybe stir up some good memories for you, some nostalgia. Those pink fuzzy boots are on point, by the way. I'm sorry. I have a pair just like that. I almost wore them tonight. How embarrassing would that have been? Sorry. Oh, butterfly. Anyway. Thank you guys so much for coming out to Cult Classics. Let me tell you a few things.